Why do we care what other people eat, and does it matter? Why do people judge us by what we eat? And why has food become such a controversial, contradicting, pain in the ass topic? And I share that with much passion and enthusiasm and a bit of a smile on my face. Because as an exercise professional who's been doing this all of my life, food is really a very interesting conversation, or really boring, depending on which way you look at it. So this is a two-part question. The conversations that you have with people, do they add value to the conversation? The words that you use, the questions that you ask, the things that you say, are you adding value to the conversation or detracting from the conversation? And then food, could it be a very personal thing? And why has it become such a controversial topic? Why are there so many people in the world who feel that they need to tell us how to eat, what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat, what's good and bad food? Why is it any of their business? And why is there so much argument about what is a good or a bad food? And is it possible that because there's so much differentiation in opinions, and I always use the example, vegan, vegetarian, carnivore, there's a very big difference there. What if we look for the things that we have in common rather than the things that we disagree on? So I'll use that example. If I eat stuff that either runs on the ground or grows in the ground, but it's clean, it isn't full of preservatives, it isn't full of chemicals, hasn't been screwed with by humans, could it be better for me than food that, whether it runs on the ground or grows in the ground, is full of chemicals and pesticides and things that are not food? So it's just an interesting question. So the reason I'm asking the question is, have you ever been in a situation where you've either been judgmental of somebody because of what they are eating, they shouldn't be eating that, that's bad food? Have you ever felt judged by somebody else because you've been eating something and they think it's bad, so they tell you that? And I've got so many funny stories about where people have literally yelled at me, several times where people have yelled at me, you shouldn't be eating it, that's bad for you. And just recently I had an experience where I got chastised by pretty much a stranger telling me what I should and shouldn't feed my dogs. So here's a great question. What is food made of? And I always like to deal with the fundamentals to start with. Everything we eat is made of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. So if it's fat or carbohydrate, both of those are made from carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. It's just the chemical bonds that are different. And protein is made from carbon, hydrogen, oxygen with nitrogen molecules added, depending on the chemical bonding. So when you just go to the fundamentals of food, it's all the same stuff. It just has different chemicals in it, different flavorings in it, different nutritional value, but it's all made of the same stuff. So if you want to get into a conversation with somebody about food, good luck to you. I just avoid them because I hate those arguments. But if somebody attacks you or accuses you or judges you on food, that might be a really fun thing to say, based on the fact that this chocolate in this bucket here, because often people come into my house and say, Rowie, how come you've got a big bucket of chocolate? It's a bucket of chocolates in my house, like real judgy, like you're supposed to be an exercise professional, why have you got chocolates in your house? My question is always, which part of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen is bad for me? And I don't get into that conversation anymore. I used to when I was younger. But I'll just say, if you don't want a chocolate, don't have one. But why do we have to tell people what to eat? Why do we get annoyed by what people eat? And is it possible that there are people who eat what people would consider bad food? So they eat takeaway food, they drink, they take drugs, they smoke, they eat chocolate, ice creams, chips, biscuits and cake, and they still live a really long time as happy people. Have you ever met people like that? I certainly have. I've also had too much to do with people who are miserable and grumpy, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, don't live very long. Some of them have died very early, even though they've counted every calorie, counted every fat gram, made sure they had the right percentage of carbohydrate, protein and fat, didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't eat any of the what they considered to be bad foods, and they were bloody miserable. They're either living as a miserable person now or they've already died as a miserable person. So what's the fine line? And if you want to add value to people's lives, should we be telling them what to eat? Do you want somebody to tell you what to eat? And I always ask this question. If somebody followed you, if you think you've got the perfect eating plan and the way you think to eat is the perfect way. If somebody followed you around for a day, a week or a month and watched everything that you ate and everything that you did, would you be happy for them to post that on social media because you're the perfect eater? Now, even if you think you are the perfect eater, and even if for 30 days you think you ate perfectly, is it possible that if that was posted on social media, there'd be millions of people that disagreed with the way you eat? So it's just a fun thing to consider. So have you ever been out, this is an interesting bugbear of the world now because there's so many jokes about it. Have you been out with people who are vegan, vegetarians, or gluten intolerant, or lactose intolerant, or they're pescatarians, or all the different things going on? And when you go to order your meal, it becomes a huge, big drama. And or the first time you meet them, they'll get into a conversation about why they're vegan, vegetarian, or why they're an intermittent faster, or why they're on the ketone diet, or there's a whole heap of things that people talk about. First of all, does that add value to my life? If I meet you and say, hello, my name's Rowie and I like to eat chocolate, who cares if Rowie likes to eat chocolate? It doesn't matter. Food's just a personal, private thing, and we all get to eat whatever we want. Why do we need to put our opinion onto somebody else? Now, I know that people do, but if you feel judged or somebody tries to get into a conversation with you about food, wouldn't it be a fun thing to say, look, I've got so many other things we could talk about rather than what I like to eat. Surely that's boring. If you want to add value to somebody's life, surely you wouldn't tell them what to eat. You wouldn't judge them by what they're eating because that's going to make them feel bad. And I've got too many examples, and I always use this one because this was, for me, a horrible experience that stuck in my brain. I was at a health club in New Zealand, and a lady had just come out from her personal training session, and it was one of those freezing cold days in the middle of winter, and she just ordered a big bowl of, I don't know whether it was hot chocolate or cappuccino or whatever, but she had one of those big bowls that they have in New Zealand. And she was just about to drink out of this beautiful big bowl of yummy, scrumptious hotness because it was a cold day. And her personal trainer yelled across the cafe. Everybody was listening. Don't you dare drink that. Do you know how many calories there are in that drink? And you've just trained with me and you're going to ruin everything we've just done. Wow. I was embarrassed for the lady. She was embarrassed. Everybody in the cafe seemed embarrassed. And there's a few things that could happen there. Is it possible that that lady will say, well, stuff you, I'm not going to train with you anymore because you made me feel like such a fool in front of everybody. She may never enjoy a hot drink ever again. Or she might say, stuff you, I'm going to drink whatever I bloody well want because I don't want to be treated like that. Food has become, unfortunately, very emotional. People have become very judgmental, and people have become very opinionated about food. Have you found that? So what if we just do this? Wouldn't it be nice to enjoy everything that you eat? And I always ask this question, why not eat what you love, and why do we eat anything that we don't like? When you're healthy, fit and strong, and this is the underlying bonus for everything, if you're healthy, fit and strong, your body burns up everything that you put into it, which is why I've got chocolate in my kitchen. There's two reasons for that. One is I love chocolate. But two, people say, wouldn't you just eat the whole bucket? No, I'm healthy, fit and strong, which means my endocrine system's really fit and strong, which means the hormones that say if you're hungry you should eat something, they tell me to eat. And if I'm full, it's a different hormone, but the same hormonal system says, stop eating, Ro, you've had enough. So I have 1 or 2 chocolates I don't need anymore because I've had enough. My body tells me, eat when you're hungry, stop eating when you're full. Love to eat all the things that you enjoy to eat, because why would you waste calories on food that you don't like? It doesn't make any sense to me. We all have to eat. A calorie is a form of energy. It's the measurement of energy. So we all need a certain number of calories. I'm not wasting any on food that I don't like. Why would you? It's just a question that I ask. And if somebody becomes judgmental or pushy about food, I just have a laugh now. Sometimes it would upset me. I used to get a little bit offended sometimes. And here's another great question. People say, how do you eat? And if you answer that question, I would have to ask, why would you? Because it doesn't matter how I eat. It doesn't matter how you eat. Even if we eat exactly the same thing, and I always ask that question. If you and I eat exactly the same thing, same number of calories, same foods, at exactly the same time of the day with the same amount for a month, will we end up looking the same? If we did it for a year, would we end up looking the same? No, because we're all different. So why do we think that what we think is right is going to be right for somebody else? And again, I've been an exercise professional all of my life, and I've watched people who have been vegan vegetarians who are healthy, fit and strong and got a stack of energy, because I always ask those 4 questions. Do you have a stack of energy? Are you performing at your best? Are you getting the results that you want? But my favourite question is, do you love what you see in the mirror and love the way your body feels for you to touch it or somebody else to touch it? And if the answer's no, either your eating plan or your exercise plan is screwed up. Would that be fair? Or both, probably. So whatever you're eating and however you're exercising, should you be able to demand, I am healthy, fit and strong, I've got a stack of energy, I perform at my best, I love the way I look in the mirror and the way my body feels to touch, and I am getting the results that I want. And if the answer's no, maybe go find the right answer for you rather than telling other people how to eat. Could that be a great idea? Live your life to the max is a simple mantra for me. It's a lifestyle, it's a philosophy of 100% loving my food, 100% loving my exercise, 100% loving my life, and I'd love that for you. Super duper doo, how are you? Eating yummy food every day because it tastes bloody good. Woohoo!